Good morning, friends, and welcome to Take Two for this Monday, the 20th of May, 2019. I'm so glad that you have chosen to come along this morning. Well, I am Jeannie, and I'm so glad that I could be with you on this beautiful Southeast Alabama Monday morning. The sun is shining. Looks like it's going to be another good one. And you know, I'd like to talk to you just a little bit this morning about lurking lizards. Yes, that's right. I said lurking lizards. You know, if lizards are kind of funny little creatures. They hide places, and then when you least expect it, boom, they just come out and they surprise you. Got a little image of a lizard here. This is not unlike the lizards that we see in our own backyard and front yard, all over the place here in Southeast Alabama. They're just everywhere, and there are little ones, there's big ones, there's all different shapes and sizes and colors. Some of them change colors. Really cool. We were out on our back porch last week, and there was a little brown lizard about yay big, and he was crawling around, and we were watching him hop from thing to thing, and then it jumped over to another area, and it started crawling up something, and he changed color and suddenly was bright green. I was like, whoa, that is really cool. And then sometimes when the males are trying to get the attention of the females, they do this bubble neck thing. They're really fun little creatures to watch. However, unfortunately, they sneak up on you, and that's the bit I can do without. I'll give you an example. There is one big brown, what we call skink lizards down here. He's about yay big. Now, whether it's the same one or one just like him, because with the tail, my goodness, he's a good this long with the tail, okay? This one skink lizard keeps finding his way into our house. Now, our back door goes to our back porch. So quite often, we'll see him around that back door trying to make his way into our house. And we've seen him countless times doing that. And the other day, I went out and I was having coffee with Michael on the back porch. I went back in the house, and lo and behold, right at my feet, there he was, this big old brown skink lizard, darker than this, slimy kind of looking, and just boom, he just jumped out at me. He'd been lurking behind the sofa. And I know that he's been trying to get in and out of my house, and has been accomplishing that because he leaves a few calling cards around, and that's how we know. We even have, when Terminex the bug man comes to treat and to look at our house every couple of months, we've even asked him about some of the droppings we've seen. He said, yeah, that's definitely lizard droppings. Do you have trouble with lizards sneaking into your house? See, that lurking thing, that's the part I really have the struggle with, because they're just there, and out of the blue, you'll be going along just fine, and suddenly, boom, he just jumps out of nowhere. He's lurking, and he just jumps upon you. And I started thinking about all the lurking lizards that we can have in our own lives. You know, that sudden news that you get, that somebody's maybe been in an automobile accident, everything is fine, the day is just great, and then all of a sudden, boom, that lurking lizard just jumps out of nowhere and gives you that news. Or maybe you just, everything is going fine, and suddenly somebody has a heart attack. Or everything is going great, and suddenly, uh-oh, car repair, I got a big bill, or a water pipe breaks, or uh-oh, is that termites in my basement? These are the kinds of lurking lizards that just jump up out of nowhere when you least expect it. The difference between having a lurking lizard in your life and not having one, well, it's how you respond to it. You know, there's nothing we can do. These little critters are going to be with us till the end of time, I'm afraid, and they serve their purpose. Don't get me wrong. I do know that critters like this serve their purpose. You know, we talked about the food chain last week. Each and every one of us has a purpose in this life, and yes, even lizards have a purpose, and they're fun to watch, and they're fun to watch crawl around, and sometimes they stick on the window at night, and we see their, you know, them backwards on the window. They're kind of fun to watch and watch them catch bugs and things like that. So yes, they all have their purpose. But when they lurk and they boom, pop up out of nowhere and scare the bejeebers out of you, that's the kind I could do without. But boys and girls, life is filled with lurking lizards. Life is filled with things just coming upon us with no warning. Just this morning, I was talking to my neighbor, and she said, hey, come and look at this. And we came around by her car in her driveway, and the front end, a big chunk of it had been wrecked. And we said, my gosh, what happened to you? She said, you know how safe a driver I am. I said, yes, Marie, I know you're a very good safe driver. She said, well, we were going out to dinner with my family, and she said, and out of nowhere, somebody broke the law, ran a stop sign, ran a light, whatever it was, and boom, took out a chunk of my front end. See, that was a lurking lizard at that red light who this person just decided they weren't going to observe the law, and as a result of it, here they are, stopped, and all of a sudden something just jumped out of nowhere and hit them. That's called life, boys and girls. And sadly, we do have bad things happen to us sometimes, and we don't like it. But it's just something that we need to accept, that bad things do happen to good people sometimes. Lizards jump out of nowhere, they lurk, they're ready, and they pounce. And that's what happens sometimes. So how are you going to deal with your lurking lizard, huh? How are you going to deal with these things that suddenly jump out of nowhere and sometimes jump on you? Ah, when that happens, I really freak out. And Michael's like, oh, it's just a lizard. Well, that's what matters. So deal with it in a correct way, accept it, do what you have to. You know, one time we actually caught him. I know it's hard to imagine because these things, their tails break off and they just go ahead and grow another one if you try to grab them. But Michael had a big bowl, a big fish bowl, and he managed to catch that thing on our sofa in the Florida room. And he covered it up carefully and he walked all the way to the back of the yard and let him go. He found his way back, sadly, but or at least he told a friend about it. But that's my point. You're going to continuously in your lifetime have these things come upon you. How you deal with it is the key. So next time you see something lurking and it's about to pounce on you, stop and think, is there something I can do to stop this pouncing? Or if it does pounce, how am I going to deal with it? And I hope and pray that you deal with it in the appropriate and accepting manner and do whatever you can to change the situation. But if it's something you cannot change, my goodness, just go with the flow and believe the truth that sometimes in your life you're going to have one or two lurking lizards. Hey, go be a blessing to somebody today, okay? You might end up being the only one who is. And if you know somebody out there who's dealing with lurking lizards in their lives and they need some help to catch them, to grab that fish bowl and put it in there and get them out in the back of the yard, you go ahead and be that person. Don't be afraid. You just go and you be a help, okay? And don't forget, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jeanne Sigler, Jeanne-Sigler. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you will get notified every time I post another Take Two. And also, of course, for the best music, best programming, best everything, WRMZ.org, and click that listen button. Okay, I love you all so much. Beware of those lurking lizards. And don't be afraid. It's for crying out loud, it's just a lizard. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.